We'll jump right in. Let's start the podcast. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this app. It's your boy, Dave Neal, with Tasha Courtney and Michael Blaustein. How are you?
Hey, man.
Welcome.
Did I pronounce that right? Blaustein?
No, you didn't, but I don't care.
How do I pronounce it?
It's Blaustein.
Blaustein.
Just
Christ.
you had two options, Dave, and you picked the wrong
Of
one. A
course you picked the wrong
50-50
one.
chance.
David.
Blaustein.
Blaustein.
Do people make that mistake a lot, or
All
it's
the
just
time,
me?
and I don't care.
You don't care?
I
Okay.
hate when people care.
I wish I had a name you could mistake. I'm Dave. Neal. There's nothing you
You've
can
never
fuck
had
Do
up.
people
mess
ever
it up?
call you Neal?
Yeah, I get that. People call me my last name.
People call me Courtney all the time, and then they feel so bad. And I'm in your boat. I just really don't care. I've been called Courtney my whole life. It doesn't faze me.
Why are you called Courtney?
My last name's Courtney.
What's your first name?
Tasha.
Tasha?
Courtney.
It
And
sounds
people
like
get
it's reversed.
confused. Yeah.
It should be Courtney Tasha. Let's switch it up.
I'm going to start going by Courtney tomorrow. No, that's weird. I can't do that.
Now, do you get mad if people call you Mike?
I don't like Mike. That's the only thing that I'm like that I don't like super love.
Well, can I be honest with you real quick? I
don't like honesty.
I
dude,
like
so.
I like you and I don't know you. I've liked him. I've had like a nice comedy crush on Michael over here. But I'm being honest with you. You're in the den here. This is the part where we start group sex talk. No, I'm kidding.
I didn't like the word talk. I thought it was just group sex, and I was
Okay.
like, I didn't know.
We're gonna
this
talk away
podcast-
into it. Just bring a guest on.
We have all the cameras
Just
and all the
swingers.
lights, like great angles.
This is
everything.
not
the
even a
cords
podcast.
plugging in nothing. No, I normally don't like people that go by the long version of their name. But I like
Really?
you, and it works with you. I just like we knew your friend Ashley's dating this guy named Steven, and I'm like, fucking chill out, Steven. You know what I mean, like Steve.
And we have Sammy and Michael too. He goes by Michael
Yeah.
full name.
Yeah, maybe it's just Michael then. Maybe just
Maybe
Michael.
you're the weird one. Maybe we have to start calling you David.
No, I've never met a David I liked.
Like, I like. Here's the thing: if your name is insane, I don't want the whole thing. If your name is like Thelonious, and you want Thelonious, but people can call you Theo. Theo, dude, take Theo.
Yeah.
You don't need. You're not a pharaoh. We don't need Thelonious. You know what I mean? If it's crazy like that, then no. But if it's like Steve and Steven, I'm fine. What did you just do? Math?
The syllables. I was like, how many syllables is that?
Thelonious.
Thelonious.
I don't even know if Thelonious is the right name. I just like thought of Theo, and I was like, how
Yeah,
do I make
I know
this
it
long
totally
shit?
is.
It's always black guys are named Theo. Thelonious.
All my Theos, like I own them. All my okay, that connected too well, guys.
New episode.
Erase.
What a Michael thing to say.
Can we curse on this thing?
Yeah, you know whatever you need.
Great, fucking great, because I'm awful.
And by the way, Michael is a host of Stiff Socks podcast, which is the best title ever.
Gross.
I think that's the best title ever.
So gross. Can you pick that up?
It's so on brand for us.
Yeah.
Gross though, you don't like it?
No, that's just not my jam. It's too visual and it freaks me out. Like I can feel the crunchy. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
It's just no thanks.
You know, when I was single, all my single days I had a cum rag, and then when single guys have you have a cum rag. I mean, there's other terms
like
for it, but
just
that's what
like
the stiff
a
sock.
gym towel that never went back to the gym that lives under the bed.
It's a crunch towel. Every 3 weeks you get a new crunch towel, chuck it, and then you get a new crunch towel. That's where you pay for your membership for
Gross.
stealing a towel.
Oh, crunch towel. You know what's hilarious? I literally thought you were talking about the texture of the towel. Oh, yeah, it's a crunch towel. Exactly.
So it makes perfect sense.
Tell him, David. Tell him, David.
It becomes a very crunchy towel by the end of it. But I'm hoping that's what stiff socks mean. It doesn't have a different. He's like, no, it's just like socks that are uncomfortably.
Yeah, dude, what are you talking about, bro? It's a science podcast. I don't understand what you're talking about.
And it's good because it filters out people that wouldn't know what stiff socks means. You know what I mean? Like just on the
100%.
title of that.
Dude, it's super on brand. If you're not, dude, we have like a little semen like on the stiff, the dot of the eye is like a little sperm. So like you know what you're getting into.
yeah.
So don't listen if you don't want to just. We talk about cum for about an hour.
I had a stiff sock when I was 20.
It's a weekly episode.
Yeah, weekly episode.
Get
Dude,
your dose of gum
Bro,
once
you
a week.
will be surprised. Like my buddy hit me up. He was like, "Dude, I listened to it. How do you talk about different cum topics every single time?" I go, I don't know, dude.
You're just the Bubba Gump shrimp of cum. I like my cum stiff, dribbly, chunky, all sorts of cum. Dehydrated, overly Gatorated. But it is a weird thing that there is a flavor profile. You know what I mean?
Pineapples, that's what they say.
Yeah.
That's what I keep hearing, but I heard that like it doesn't. You can't just have it like that day and it affect you. It has to be
it's
like
like 3
incorporated in your
days.
diet like consistently for it to like affect your.
Well, Tasha will go from being attracted to me during the act of sex to the second I finish disgusted immediately by what a guy does, the love making. You know what I mean? That's on you. That's
I
part of.
I don't know. You got to be detailed.
Like she'll go, oh yeah, and then I was like, ew.
Oh, right. Right.
She'll like ew me like she's like I'm picking a booger or something.
I'm gonna be honest. The ew kills me. I
Sorry.
hate the ew because I'm a dude that like I finish and then I'm still in it for at least 3 minutes after. Like I like to like sit in it. So like if I come and then the girl's like, ew, it takes me out of it and I'm like, all right, well,
I'm not doing verbal ooze.
Oh, you're not?
No, I'm not doing verbal
I will
ooze.
record this against your will and yeah. You
Okay, maybe once or twice if it was like especially by my face or something. But I know that my facial expressions are pretty honest. I definitely have a hard time like controlling my feelings, like hiding my feelings behind my face. So maybe you're getting a new face.
Man, we have to. We need a theater degree to look at a women's vagina and not be like, you know what I mean? Like things are always coming out of it. There's always like ruptured cyst balls and cum and there's always
in it
balls.
There's always something. The vagina.
What type of vagina do you have?
Just like a warehouse with just parts are being shipped out.
I've never heard about it. You go, there's juju fruits in there.
You ever see the IKEA where you pick up the dresser at the end of the thing and then they're just shipping out different contents? That's what the vagina. No, your vagina. I'm not. She's gonna make me remove this. I'm not saying your vagina is anything crazy. I'm just saying women. You every month a failed human leaves your body. A failed the parts.
Egg discarded.
An egg is squished up and just spit out your
it's the
vagina.
lining of the uterine wall.
Yeah.
The uterine. That's a new word. Uterine. There's so many different, like I say vulva all the time because I think it's hilarious. I don't know what that is.
I think that's the overall
is it
oven mitt of the thing?
That's what I thought. I thought it was the thing, but
the vulva is like what you see on the outside. The vagina is like the inner workings.
So
like when people say like I see your vagina, it's like no you don't because the vagina's on the inside.
Right, the vulva is like the door.
Yes.
And the vagina is the clothing store within.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Guys,
you got it.
You're welcome, everyone.
Sex education by someone completely unqualified.
But if I post that clip online, 18 people are going to correct us. Well, technically, it's a complicated thing. There's a lot going on. Men, we got the base, the head, frenulum.
But isn't it kind of like okay? We were talking about this the other day. Like, isn't it kind of not fair that like we get this complicated label? Like, I'm sorry that it wasn't important enough for you to learn in school. Like, it seems like
you guys are complicated. You could just call it your vagina, and we would call it all a vagina.
We didn't make it up. Male scientists made it up. Duh.
Well, the point is that it's complicated. But what I'm saying is, a guy comes and but like I'm just saying you're scrapping out
David,
abandoned.
Can I ask you a question,
please?
So, are you grossed out? What part are you grossed out by? The blood? No, I'm fine. I'm so fine with the blood.
I could
you can
never
put the blood
understand that
anywhere, bro. You can put it on my face, turn me into like some type of like center fielder for baseball. I'm fine with that.
Braveheart.
It doesn't bother me at all.
Blood's gritty. It's not like a cut your wrist blood. It's like there's a thinness, but then there's like body parts, and you know what I mean.
There's some. Yeah.
There's full on groups of organs that weren't developed yet. I feel like. I mean, it's the.
One time I saw a finger.
That's wildly inaccurate.
By the way, ladies are listening.
I know what I'm talking about.
This is wildly inaccurate.
Nobody write in. I don't want to hear the truth. We're being irreverent, people, because they will write in. Well, technically, no, but when you have your period, because I see it because sometimes you don't flush, and then you see like the remnants, and you're never, you flip the lid up, and you don't know what you're just expecting a normal toilet, and then you're like, Jesus Christ.
I'm pretty sure that was one time.
I'm just saying, I've lived with only dudes before. Only dudes. So this is...
So seeing a tampon was traumatic
We've
for
been
you,
dating for 5 years, and I'm just bringing it up, so you're welcome that it wasn't that big of a deal for me. Blood's not that big it's not that big of a deal. Period, sex, blood.
Does any of it bother you?
No. If it's good for her, if she's like...
That's called being a healthy woman.
I think it's good to have sex. I mean, is it supposed to be good to have sex on your period?
It's not bad.
But I thought it could be good for like cramps and stuff.
Sure, yeah.
I thought it was good for y'all to like get over it sooner.
Well, Okay, here's the science. Orgasm, right, causes like movement on the inside, and it also
on the vagina, because the vagina's on the inside.
On the inside.
Guys, I am learning.
But yeah, you'll have muscle spasm, right, which I guess could technically like move some things around and speed it up. But then also just like the endorphins that are released, like the pleasure hormones,
right,
can provide pain relief. So if you're having cramping, period pain, then an orgasm can reduce the pain, possibly.
I remember in 8th grade, there was a, we were on a school field trip to Washington, D.C., and one of the classmates, she got her period, and all the other girls flocked around her, and they all went to the bathroom together, like 20 of them, and they made a big deal, and no one would let the guys know what happened, so we didn't know what was going on. Right. It was just like such a taboo thing. I don't think it's that way anymore. Like now,
she like bled on her pants or something. They had to give her a sweatshirt.
People, I've seen them. They like put a tampon in a sweater and like hand it to each other like a drug deal. Who
yeah,
the
but
fuck?
wouldn't
That's why
it
women
be
are so amazing, dude. Do you understand? If on a field trip to DC, if I shit or peed myself, every dude on the bus would make fun of me till I was in high school. But y'all have a problem. Women in general have an issue, and then you crowd around them like it's Whitney Houston, and then just move them like like an amoeba to the bathroom.
Yeah, I mean it's totally like that's
unity, dude.
That's support, but also like if you peed or pooed yourself, those are bodily functions that you can control, and you can't.
You guys can't control that.
No, are you serious?
No, I'm not at all.
Okay.
Have you shit your pants before?
No.
You never shit your pants?
What?
I did pee my pants in 4th grade.
You've never shit yourself?
No.
Dude, you gotta live a life.
And here, I'll tell you, I came close one time. It was right after I moved to Los Angeles, and I had to pull over. I was somewhere in like Burbank, I think. Yeah. And I was just like by like a strip mall full of like doctor's offices or something.
Right.
And I ran it. I was like, can I use your bathroom, to the receptionist? And she was like, sure. Like, I don't think she knew what was going on, if I was like a patient or what. And I used that bathroom. But that would have been the closest I've ever come to having a serious emergency.
Michael?
Oh, I mean, dozens of times.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But is it, you get surprised? Like you...
It's always, I'm not really surprised. It's just a moment where I'm like, there is no bathroom. And I mean, dude, it happened probably twice not like a full, like, oh, my entire drawers are full of poop, but like, it's definitely happened where like, I'm like clinching and like some of it oozes out.
And everyone knows. My God. You were going to say in New York?
Did you have to throw your underwear away?
Oh yeah, dude, there was a time in college. This story,
you don't save that.
This story is heinous, but we'll go in. I was in on like traffic going to the club in college. And we were in traffic for like 30 minutes. Like I'm dead stopped going traffic. So I was like trying to hold it. I'm like, it's fine. I'm literally going to the club. We park, and I'm with people that I don't really know. So I can't be like, go to top. I'm shit. Like it wasn't. So like people I just met. So we get to the club. I run. Can't make it in because there's a line. There's no way I'm making it in. So I run behind the club where there's a dumpster, and I barely make it. I poop a little bit in my drawers, and I just let it go, right? So then I let it go. I take like my boxers. I use my boxers to like wipe myself, and I throw it.
Collateral damage.
Just throw it. And so I'm in the club dancing, sweating, like I didn't fully clean myself, right? So this is maybe 2 hours later. I'm drunk. And I meet this girl. We start like whatever. And in college, for some odd reason, I was like the king of like getting women into the bathroom so we could like fuck or get head or whatever, right? So I get her into the men's bathroom, and we're like messing around in the stall. And then she like takes my pants down, and I'm drunk. And she takes my pants down and starts giving me head. And then I go, oh, I shit myself 2.5 hours ago.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that she doesn't smell it. So it's gotta be.
She's getting pink eye.
But bro, 100%. But then I'm like, oh, hold on. I'm in the bathroom. So she can't blame it on me.
She thinks it's just the smelly toilet.
Exactly, bro.
Saved.
Yeah, but but she was down there for like 3 minutes, and it was so funny because I had that like moment of me like, oh no. 2.5 hours ago, I shit myself behind a dumpster, and now you're doing.
And then you've got like anxiety and you can't focus, and you're like, never mind, let's just call this quits.
Right.
I wonder where she's at in her life. I wonder what her.
I wonder if she's a listener. I wonder if she's gonna listen.
I was blowing this guy in a club,
dude. She.
So what's the secret to getting him into the stall? I mean, you're a good-looking guy, so any advice you give isn't going to work for these vagrants that listen. But
right.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
there's nothing worse than getting advice, sex advice from a good-looking guy because you're like, oh, nice. That's all I need to do is have high cheekbones. Good.
You know what it is?
Looking right at you, son. That got weird.
No, I liked it. You know what it is, honestly? I think that people, especially dudes, they just overthink it. They're like, oh, I need to have a strategy. I need to have lines written down. Like, I always say, like, whatever happened to, hey, how are you? What's your name?
And like genuinely listening to the response. Because when you're too in your head thinking about what your next line is going to be, a girl can tell that you are not listening to her.
Right. It's and yes, I do think it helps that I don't look like a gargoyle, but like, I think even if like, because women
but you smelled like one.
Yeah. When I was 18, after a poop, I definitely smelled like one. But yeah, I think that's like very underutilized. Just the regular, hey, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Well, men like tricks. You know what I mean? They want to know what's the pickup line or what's the thing you need to do. And I'm like you. Like you gotta trust in your ability to say hi and then like something of relevance to the situation. It's like crowd work, right? So it's
100%.
like, what's going on in the room? Oh, the music's loud. What the fuck? You know what I mean? The smoke machine's shitty. Whatever the fucking deal is, if you can like talk to them. And Tasha, I mean, there's times, Michael, you might agree with me here. I don't know, but there's times when a girl will shut you down. I mean, shut you down, and then you're having sex later that night. Sometimes they just shut you down. And you just have to be like, you have to know, like, am I being shut down or am she just annoyed by something and I need to say hi? I mean, Tasha, when we met, you were annoyed, like, to high heavens. You were really hated me.
Yeah, you were really just like doing all of the things that I find offensive.
Oh, this
and
is
here we
great.
are.
Please listen. I am down for this conversation.
No, I did all the right things. Well, I mean, make it quick, please, because the poor listeners have probably heard this.
They've heard this, but Dave was like, we were on a bus, right? We're
a bus.
Yeah, we were going to
I got that mobile game.
The set of Mildred Pierce, right? It's like an early morning call time. We catch like a 5 a.m. bus in the city to go way out in Long Island to some mansion.
You're making this story way too long.
I'm trying to shorten. And he's talking loud. He's like probably had 4 cups of coffee. It's 5 in the morning. Everyone else on the bus just wants to like close their eyes and rest. And this guy's like 4 rows behind me talking about like the auditions that he's been killing and like all of this other loser stuff. And I was just like,
horrendous.
This idiot needs to sit down. And that was just my first impression of you, Dave, was just that you were being too loud.
Yeah.
You're being too loud and kind of obnoxious.
Once that coffee kicks in, I'm pretty aggressive. Yeah, but then we ended up talking, and there was a moment I do remember where she was kind of like gauging the situation and realized the conversation wasn't horrible. I was entertaining you at the very least.
Yeah, you turned out to be a nice guy, but I just wasn't quite awake yet.
Yeah, well, you didn't get awake all day. You were miserable. You tried to leave early and go home. You were very pouty. I should have noticed these red flags, Tasha. She's a highly sensitive person. It's a term, HSP. Basically means cunt. She can be very, everything bothers her. She's too hot. She's too cold.
My clothes were itchy.
Everything's exactly the same.
Clothes were itchy? Oh, we wouldn't get along. Yeah. We would get along as friends, but like I would be I couldn't, because you would be like, my clothes are itchy, and I'd be like, shut up. Then change clothes. I don't know what to do with you.
Yeah, totally.
Like you gotta throw your stiff socks in the way. There's always something. She's very aware of the surroundings. So I live in a military household where everything, but hey, I'm not that way, so it's nice to live with someone. Like, do you live with your girlfriend? Are you you got a girlfriend, right?
I do have a girlfriend. We do not live together now.
How long have you been dating?
We've been together in September, it'll be a year.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
How's it going?
Dude, it's honestly, I always feel weird saying it. It's going phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, I love her. Like, we vibe super well. Our communication is bananas. This is the first relationship where we've made it like a law in the relationship that if you feel like 1% of a feeling towards anything, you just say it. And we have this thing where we call just say it and work backwards. So even if it's bananas, even if it's like, I hate the way your kneecap looks today. I don't fucking know why, but I do. You just say it and you go, all right, that wasn't about you, but for some reason your kneecap fucking sucks. Or maybe I'm like depressed because it's like, so anything.
That's a really great strategy.
Bro,
just say it and then work backwards.
Yeah.
Because then you're both on the same page, knowing that this isn't like something that I'm going to take personally.
Yeah.
This is an accusatory statement because this is step 1. We're going to work backwards to the real thing. So it's not like pointed at you and something to be defensive about.
Michael, you've created a monster right now.
Ooh, I like that.
Wait, what's the term? Say it and then
say it and work backwards.
I just said it. I'm going to work back. It's like, chill out.
Yeah, but I mean that's exactly what it is. It's like you can so you have a license to say something outlandish. You know how sometimes you have like a innate feeling or like a gut feeling like or like a blink feeling towards something. And you're like, what the fuck does that mean? And then you sort of like work it inside yourself and then come up with an answer.
Yeah, like, why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
I don't have any reason to be offended by your kneecap, but for some reason, it's really bothering me.
Right, but it's better, I have found in this relationship, to just... Because normally I would feel that, then I would internalize it, I would work through it, and then I'd be like, oh, this doesn't bother me. But all of those workings, she doesn't know what happened. She doesn't know
and you're just being weird for 30 minutes while you figure it out on your own.
And also then she can learn how you work. So then all of a sudden, like, we have like shorthand to certain events that happened, and I think you just understand how, like, I digest emotion, I understand how she digests information, and then so it's easier to any situation. I can be like, oh, though you're pissed because of blah 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 blah. And then she's like, yeah, there's a bunch of shorthand now because I feel like you could understand a person.
And it's so much easier when you know that the brakes are squeaky. All right, let's work on the brakes. Meanwhile, you could have just spent all your time looking at something completely different. I do that where I'm like, I don't even know what she's mad at, but if I would apologize if I knew it. And I'm not a dumb guy. I've been completely off many times where I'm like, that's what you were upset about? I would have apologized like 72 hours ago. Like, I literally would have no idea because I'm just doing my own thing. And it doesn't mean I don't care to know. It means I'll pick up on what I think it is, isolate it, and then I'm so far off, but it wasn't even in the microscope of what I was looking at. You know what I mean? Because I'm always want to resolve everything. I always want everything to be resolved. Yeah. But, and I'm not blaming you, Tasha, but sometimes it's just layered and I'm like, I don't even know what it is.
Well, but you glossed over the important part of what we just said is that, like, say it and work backwards prevents defensiveness, which is like one of like the big, like, bombs. You already are like feeling a little off, and as soon as like you say something and somebody gets defensive, my gosh, now we've got a big explosion.
So did this come about after like a fight where that didn't happen and you were like, we need to work backwards here? So
we had the luxury that a lot of people don't have, is we literally just fucked around for like 9 months. So we were having these long drawn out conversations with no, like, there was no stakes, 0 stakes. So we were having all these like really in-depth conversation, and I was really understanding how her brain worked and how she like digests certain emotions with no stakes. So we learned each other really well. And then, because it was just like, yo, we're casual. That's literally how we met. Because I broke up with someone very shortly before I met Claudia, who's my girlfriend now. She did the same thing. So we were just like, we just got a long-term relationship. We're dead inside. Blah, blah, blah. Let's just have sex. So it was like, but we vibed really well. She would like come over. We would talk for like 2 hours. Dope-ass conversation. We would fuck. We would go to sleep, wake up, have breakfast, have dope conversation for like 2 hours, and then she'd leave. And we'd both be like, we don't feel anything. Shut up. The whole time I felt something. I was like, nah, come on, bro. I don't just pushing it all down, you know? But we had that unfair advantage of like, that, so then that just became how we handled shit.
Well, we talk with a lot of people. I mean, this is probably episode 353. I have to think about it. Yeah, we've done this for a long time, and all the relationships that are working, the healthy ones, seem to be, they started in a very neutral place. It wasn't one person being too needy or the other, because it's when you start on like a rocky boat, it's the more you try to fix it, the more it's just gonna, it's very hard to like stabilize that. And so we were probably talking earlier today to somebody about this, how like the best relationships seem to happen when you don't want one, or you're just happy on your own. Right. So like the fact that you were both coming out of things that you didn't want, you put 0 pressure on it, so then you were able to just kind of just like go slow, and then it can actually build into what it's supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah. That's not easy. I mean, sometimes a lot of people, you find a relationship, you're like, boom, this is the one, all the red flags are painted white, you do your thing, and then all of a sudden, it's not what you thought it would be, and then you try to like sort of reverse engineer, and it's like, no, that's just not what it was.
Yeah, you've already built habits, and it's so hard to be like to like rebuild a thing that you already built.
Have you like worked on yourself? Like, what's something you've done in the past that you've had to like tone down?
Ooh.
That was hilarious. I thought this whole thing was going on.
For the audio listeners, Boone just got his leg stuck on a cord. Old man. My question was, have you learned like things that you do that are kind of shitty for the relationships that you've had to adjust, or like, because comics, we can be very selfish with our pursuits.
Yeah, I think that I think that I learned that I try to fight rage. Like I don't know if I have rage issues, I would say, but that's
like a short fuse.
100%. So that's my go-to. It's either like massive indifference or massive rage. Those are my two go-tos in like any type of like fight or like heated conversation. So I've like learned that I just need to say it. I need to just say anything that I'm feeling. It massively helps me.
Putting a label on it. That's what they talk about in the Perfection Detox. Just like labeling the thing that you're doing, if you're ruminating or whatever else. As soon as you put the label on it, you give it a name, it sort of reduces its power. It's like when it's a feeling that you're just like, then it's like got all this control over you. But when you're like, nah, this is just anger or rage or whatever you call it by its name, then it's like, okay, no, this is a rational feeling.
Right. It also like diffuses like I don't know if you just said it also like diffuses its like power over me if I'm just like, listen, I am enraged right now. I don't know why, but I am furious. And then we can sort of just be like, okay, why am I furious? But dude, 4 years, I never would do that. Yeah. I would just be like, oh, how about fuck you? How about that? We'll start there, and I would leave, or I would just like leave and then come back after I cooled down. But there's something to the rage. So why am I taking a walk and coming back when I'm cooled down? I think it's for me. I would like my first reaction not to be rage. So I need to like. So I've been trying to like. Take it head on and try to like diffuse it in the moment as opposed to like taking a walk.
You give it a name, right? You take away its power and then you give it a replacement feeling.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's all it is brain training. Because the more, just like we were talking about before, I think we turned the sound on, is like the more and more something is your go-to attitude, the deeper and deeper those like rivers get. And it becomes your brain's number one choice because it's all about having the quickest synapses.
Right.
It's like a machine.
You ever just see people snap over like nothing? You know what I mean? Just like there's some people out there that, I mean, like we're talking about it, so we're obviously doing the work, and we still have like triggers and stuff. But some people out there, I mean, it really is just like emotional IQ and the inability to.
Well, or it's just like that they've been in that practice for a long time. Like if you see a lady having a nervous breakdown in a restaurant or at a gas station or something, you're like, wow, you're a miserable person because there's no way you went from A to Z if you aren't already going from A to M every other day.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, my big thing being raised Catholic, I think, or being from New England. I never know if it's being from New England or being Catholic, but
it's the same thing.
It's the same thing, right?
Yep.
It's this Puritan. There is no difference. I literally didn't know a Jewish person until I went to college. We just had Irish Catholic, and the thing that we would do and is still done is like we'll help other people, but then our expectations are for them to return the favor, and then we'll be mad at them. So like basically giving gifts and being mad at the person that you just gave the gift to. So like
because you have like that expectation of reciprocity.
Yeah. So I'll be
But
cleaning
do you not
stuff.
even give them the chance?
I mean,
to reciprocate 6 months down the line, or are you just keeping it in your back pocket and worried about it?
That's when you know what you're doing, you might chill out and whatever. But like with Channing, my buddy Channing, it's like, man, I got mad at him the other day because he didn't do something stupid and simple. And it's like, just because I've been helping him out, and I have to be like, you help your friends out because you're happy to help them out, and they'll be there for you no matter what. But like, they don't always know what you need back.
And you need to manage your expectations. Expectations are like the number one most triggering thing for lots of people.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know, you have an expectation, and then when other people don't meet it, they're not mind readers.
No, but I am like the most loyal. Like I expect the highest level of loyalty from people, and that might be an ego thing, but like only the people that are in my inner circle.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
That's your fault.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. Like that expectation, because it's like boil it down. A lot of the stuff we're talking about is just control. You can control. You can't control. You can control your expectations towards something. You can't control what they give you. You can control your expectations, and that's something else that I've learned a lot too. It's like especially in like stand up, or you're an actress, model. I love that correction. I'm a model.
We do not talk.
Acting is 1%.
She's a great actress, actually.
Thank you.
You need to reframe the way you say that because you're a great actress.
It's just not my priority, but
anyway.
What was I saying? So I was saying just like as like stand-ups and modeling as well. It's like control what you can control. It's like the age-old thing, but like it's so much easier said than done. Like you put that into practice consistently, I think that bleeds over into like all aspects of your life.
Oh yeah.
And that is like a trigger thing. It's like, how come that person didn't blah blah blah? And it's like, well, that I remember I was talking to my sister one time, and she was like having issues with her boyfriend at the time, and she was like, she gave him like, she like made him a lunch or whatever, and then and I was like, before you give him the lunch, understand that you should give him the lunch because you want to give him the lunch, not because you want like love or because you want anything back. You want to give him the lunch because you love him. Period. That's it. And then walk away. Because you have these weird expectations. All of a sudden, he doesn't write you a poem in 2 days, and all of a sudden you guys are in a furious fight. Then don't give him the lunch. Then don't give him the lunch. Tell him you want a poem.
Yeah, I'm gonna trade you this lunch right now for a poem in 2 days.
But seriously, like that sounds crazy. And I think like before this relationship, and obviously, we have problems. I'm not saying that we're perfect, but I think like before this relationship, I would have been like, that's bananas to say that. But like that's
spelling it out.
No,
You've got to spell it out. We got the best book years ago called "Spelling It Out for Your Man," and I'm pretty sure I threw it at Dave at some point. But
yeah, it wasn't a hardcover though. That was the whole joke. I had a bit. Yeah, I was like, she got me this book, and then it was like, oh, luckily it was a used softcover. It was pretty nice.
No, but we don't throw things anymore.
You did throw that at me because I was like, babe, on page 72.
I was like, I'm spelling it out for you.
No, but you still struggle with spelling it out for me, Tasha. I'm just letting you know.
Well,
I'm just saying.
But practice makes perfect, and I think it's so important that you need to manage your expectations, but also make your expectations known.
100%.
Now, does your girlfriend work in the industry?
She's an actress.
Now, do you have to? How's that roller coaster? Like, do you have to? Do you know when she's in her highs and her lows, and dealing with her sort of, the flightiness of the industry, all the side jobs, things like that. Like, do you guys lean on each other, or like, how does that work?
So I think we have an advantage because she is successful. So even with that, I think there's less because she is. But even with that, there are like those moments when,
something's high stress, or
just like value issues. For me, so much. That's my biggest Achilles heel is like value. Like people can be like, you're funny, and if I have a huge like value issue, and I think like all of us as artists have value issues. And
do you mean self-worth? Like, value of how you feel
yeah. Self-worth 0. My self, it just fluctuates, and nothing. And I put all of my expectation or all of my self-evaluation on stand-up or on like just being
if you've had a couple rough sets in a row, then like all
0.
of a sudden you're like, what the hell am I doing here?
Oh, 0. I'm nothing.
It's the only currency we have in the bank account is withdrawn off of a bad set. A couple bad sets in a row, it's like, all right, I'm bouncing checks right now. I can't. Yeah, I feel the same way. And then, but then you have to kind of like, there's a blessing and a curse to that feeling of inadequacy. It's like the good thing is that's your drive that's going to make you like really successful. But it's also the thing you have to like tame. It's just like this fucking wild bull.
Dude, you ever read the book? And I've said this 100 times on my podcast, and I'll say it again here. The War in Art.
The Art of War. The War of Art.
Do you know what I'm?
The War of Art. I talk about it all the time.
Art?
The War of Art, because it's the play on the words of the art of war. I actually have it around the corner, yeah.
Okay, are we talking about the same book? Who's it by? Do you remember?
Pressfield.
Thank you. Okay,
yeah.
So, and you probably talked about this a million times, but the part, and I'll say it again, the part that resonates with me so much is the part where he's like, as an artist, you do a thing, you submit the thing, or you say the joke, and then it's done. You're done with it.
Yeah, then you let it go.
And you let it go because you're already better. You've already said the thing, so you're already a better comic. You already wrote the thing, so you're already a better screenwriter. So you
did the work,
and you're done. The part that really resonated with me was, and you're already better, so you don't give a fuck if anyone likes it or hates it, because you're like, oh cool, you hate it, I'm already better. Oh cool, you like it, doesn't really matter because I'm already better. That is something that I literally say to myself if I have like a whatever set. I'll go I'll take a walk and be like, you're already better. And I'll be like, you know why you're better? Because this tag didn't work, and it's good that it didn't work because you're learning it didn't work, and now I know it doesn't work.
It allows you to disconnect from the result a little bit.
100%, dude.
You know, the result that is not going to give you validation. You're right. It's having shown up, having done the work, and learning from it.
Yeah.
Either way, you're better off.
Yeah, because what we're talking about is that crippling feeling of not necessarily perfection, but whether the feeling of resistance that the War of Art talks about. It's the feeling of like, why even, it's like it's the procrastinating we feel because we don't know what the outcome's going to be. But that book kind of teaches you that you just have to do. You have to know that you're going to be better for it. It's just part of the process and not worrying about the outcome. The hard part with stand-up and comedy is all the other variables that exist that are like right in our face that we have to sort of be like, all right, fuck that crowd. I mean, how many comics are great that weren't even either understood or just didn't quite tap into their brilliance? People talk about how like Bill Burr, in their early years was just like eating dicks on stage. And you can imagine that where if like things weren't sort of like dialed in right, he's just some angry guy yelling. Yeah. Or you know what I mean? But then you see it like all put together and you're like, Jesus Christ. I mean, like it's like whatever energy he had that wasn't completely fulfilled when it now like as a pro, I mean how many albums does he have? 7? His new one's coming out this month. I get that. Talk about stiff socks. Oh boy. Yeah. Wow, Bill Burr's my man. But anyway, yeah, it's like we look at these like kind of like heroes and they've got it all figured out, and you just have to realize like we're doing the dance, and you just have to stay. And again, it all comes down to staying in your own lane. But yeah, it's tough in a relationship. Tasha's the more successful one when it comes to everything financially. You know what I mean? And the blessing that I have is that I don't have to worry about like a broke ass actress that I'm supposed to support. You know what I mean? Like that would be horrible just to be like both of us, John at each other. But also like she's got to deal with me. When's the the long-term investment of stand-up comedy, right? It's a long, it can be a long road. But I don't want to talk about it in ways that's like affirming that it has to be a long road. Like it's a long process, but also there should be rewards along the way.
So I heard, and I don't remember where I heard this, but I'll never forget it because I really feel like it helped me reframe my mindset that you don't have to be a starving artist. You can be an artist and you don't have to be starving. There doesn't have to be a struggle. You don't have to live in your car to have that True Hollywood story about your life when you're successful. Like, it's almost like we've manifested that like we have to struggle in order to be successful, but that's not true. No, your life can be whatever you want it to be. So like for me, I came from New York before I moved to LA, and when I first, so basically I was in school. I was supposed to go back to school. I was in New York on sort of like an internship, and it was time to move back. And I had been working as a model on top of my real job. And, I booked this big thing and it was going to shoot over the break when I was supposed to be moving back. And while I was shooting this thing, I had postponed my move. I got another job offer, and I was just like, I had been unhappy at school, and I was like, obviously I'm not going back. I'm following the breadcrumbs here. Right. But it was hard. My sublet, my lease was up in the place that I was in. So I got a sublet on the Upper West Side. I think my room was $1,400 a month. I was living in, it was an amazing apartment. I lived with a great group of guys.
As like a 20-year-old?
But I literally had barely any savings. I maybe had what was left over of one paycheck, my last paycheck at my job. I had just enough to like, I don't think I had to put a deposit, or maybe it was a smaller deposit, but to pay the first month's rent. And then I literally was like counting the days that I could expect every check from those modeling jobs to come in, and like not eating a $5 Subway sandwich because I couldn't afford it. You know what I mean? Right. So like, but I don't know even where I heard this, but it really reframed my mindset from feeling like, oh my God, New York's a grind, I have to struggle, to like, no, I don't. Yeah. I don't have to struggle. I can make this whatever I want to be. I can be an artist and I can be successful at it. This doesn't have to last forever.
If you like the War of Art, you got to read Marianne Williamson's The Law of Divine Compensation.
We're really digging
I'm digging her. Basically, she just says...
I love these recommendations.
Yeah, and I love that we started... Usually we start spiritual and then get sexual. We started with blowjobs, and now we're... I like to start with a blowjob and then talk about Marianne Williamson, a 67-year-old self-help expert. And also, she's running for a Democratic... she's one of like the 22 people running for president. She's got my vote.
She's so foo-foo, but we love her.
She's the one that everyone made fun of because she's very like... She's all about the crystals miracles, but like she's all very holistic. But the whole thing is that miracles are supposed to come to us. We're supposed to have abundance, and it's we're like goalies just shucking away the puck. It's like, let the miracle come. Like, it's supposed to happen. All the good things are supposed to happen. But like, we kind of like through anxiety, through fears, we kind of get in the way of all the good things. So there's two types of feelings you can have, and this is good for relationships or your professional life. There's the feelings of miracle and the feelings of fear. So even when in a fight, I have to like sit like, as you know, if Tasha's mad at me, I have to go, well, instead of being afraid of this fight and dealing with all the defensiveness, I need to accept the miracle of like, well, maybe she's explaining to me what's been wrong with her. Like and
it's sort of like what we were just talking about, that everything's a learning experience.
Right.
Like, that doesn't just come to like, you know, your sort of like professional knowledge or like stand up or whatever. It's like every relationship, every interaction, every fight is all learning as well. So if you flip the script, it's a learning experience, and like, I can be thankful for this and I can move on, and then I've still got my pathways open for positivity.
That's tough. And yeah, it's tough. I mean, so how this side question here, how did you get into stand up? Was it something you wanted to do? Did you stumble into it?
I sort of stumbled into it. Like stand up wasn't in my life. Like people are like, even my girlfriend's like, oh, I used to go to sleep watching Raw and like, you know, Eddie Murphy's Raw, and like it wasn't in my life. I didn't know anything about it. But in college, I was always like the class clown my entire life. So in college, just like everyone that I kind of ran into told me I should do it. And then I moved to New York to act. And then my roommate at the time was doing like stand up. And I went to a show of his, and he did well, but I was like looking at him like, I know this dude. If he can do it, like I can do it. Yeah. So then I just like went home that night and I just like started writing. And then like within like a week, I just got on stage and, you know, ate my dick for 3 years, and then it got you know, finally got a laugh. But yeah, that was it. Like, it wasn't.
Where did you go to school?
Coastal Carolina University.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why I thought you were in New York for school.
No.
Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, that's South Carolina, bro.
And that's where where you got the Blumpkin blowjob?
Yeah.
The
Blumpkin.
That's another name for a pint. We used to name the podcast of Blumpkin. It's when you get a blowjob when you're taking a shit.
I've never heard this.
I love that Tasha didn't grow up with
like country bumpkin.
Am I right? Blumpkin. A Blumpkin is
yeah.
Every once in a while, we've been dating for so long. Just about every episode, there's a term she's never heard of, and I think of how sheltered she went to art school. I was in a fraternity, so like I feel like she missed out on the.
What frat were you in?
Lambda Chi Alpha.
Whatever, bro.
What were you?
Pike, man.
Pike. We didn't have. We didn't have a Pike.
We didn't have yours either.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Lambda was cool in some places. Like Kenny Chesney was Lambda. I think Roosevelt was Lambda. But in some places you're nerds. It really depends on where you are. We were pretty nerdy. But but we also had a nice house, so we all fucked.
Oh.
We had a mansion. You know what I mean? We had a nice mansion. We had an old
That'll
mansion.
Help.
Ghosts were haunted it. We do ghost tours. Oh, the girls would get nervous. You know.
Isn't it funny when you're that young? Like, things that don't matter at all right now mattered so much. Like, you could get a girl based on you have like an iPod. You know what I mean? Like, just something stupid.
Well, how old are you?
30.
You're 30? Yeah. So Facebook came out my sophomore year of college. Facebook came out the year I was living in a fraternity. Yeah. And at that, I feel old like talking about it, but it of course was the Facebook. And it was only for your school. So it started with the Ivy Leagues, and then I went to University of Rhode Island. So like New England schools, and then trickled down. And you didn't get photos. You had your profile photo. You didn't even get to crop it. You had to pre-crop it, then upload it. That was it. But that's how like people started. I mean, like, Facebook was in full speed when you were in college.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like how you set up, communicating. I mean, because before Facebook, you just had to meet people. I mean, there was other MySpace and stuff, but that wasn't really where you would, because Facebook at school, you could just be like, oh, we're in class together, and then now we're friends, and then I'm messaging her, versus going up in person. And it's really like, I don't know, because I feel like most people can handle the communication once the ice has been broken, but I don't know if today's generation can handle the ice breaking aspect of it all.
Well, the ice breaking aspect doesn't exist. The digital ice break exists, but the in-person ice break, you don't need it. Like, you can literally form an entire relationship online, and then you just meet after like.
It's almost like the ice breaking now is the blue check mark. Like, are you verified?
No, I'm not.
I'm not either. But if you were, that's it.
What does that have to do with ice breaking?
I'm just saying, if you're like verified,
it helps to cut through the bullshit.
Yeah, it just cuts through the bullshit, and someone goes, "Oh, geez, you got you have a following. I mean, it's not like if you met a guy. I mean, we were at a party and this guy was talking to us and told us he had a big following. It was bananas that he said it that way. But we were like, first of all, we don't care. But if say Tasha, say one of your friends, say Sammy was single and she met some dude and she was like, I don't know, he seems nice. And like, should I take him home? And you're like, I don't know. And then you look at his Instagram and he's got a couple 100,000 followers and he seems
it's currency.
It can't hurt.
It's currency.
That sounds like a giant red flag, and I would tell her to definitely stay away. This guy is probably a douchebag.
If he mentioned it, but if she finds it and she's like, geez.
Hold on. I want to dive into this real quick. You would think he was a douchebag because he had a following?
Because he had a blue check mark. I just think that like people who have blue check marks, most of them, not all of them. I know a few people with blue check marks that are cool, but we're talking about guys specifically. I just think that guys, they'll capitalize on whatever it is they've got to get laid. So I'm gonna immediately think that this guy is sleazy and he's sleeping with a different girl every night.
Michael's a defense lawyer. He's like he's like ruffling his notes.
Well, because my question to you is, it doesn't hurt. That's what I want to pose to you. I don't think that if he was leaning on it, if he was that dude, whatever months ago they was like, I have a following. All right, well, that is your 100% value. But like having a blue check mark and having a following, if you look at his Instagram, it doesn't hurt unless he's leaning on it. So like if he was like a nice dude, whatever, and you looked at and it was a blue check mark, it would help.
It used to be It used to be like if you
it's just one of those like many sort of red flags. Not saying I'm not going to put him all into this category without like considering other factors, but it's the same way that like I just like a really attractive guy, I'm just like, I don't trust you at all. I don't trust you as far as I can throw you. I'm going to approach this with some skepticism.
That's why you're with Dave.
That's what I was going to say. She always mentions she's like hates these attractive guys, and I'm like,
We were talking about male models earlier.
Yeah, last episode she's like, I hate these successful guys, and I was like, oh, good. All right, well, glad you settled for me. She was like, I don't want. No, this is what she said. She goes, I don't want guys that.
It's hard to date out of your category.
Yeah, so you want to date below you?
No, I said at your level. That it's intimidating. But this whole thing came off of ice breaking, which I was like not understanding how you were equating the blue check mark to ice.
But it used to be like if you met someone, they'd be like, all right, let me give you my number. Like I'm talking old school, maybe before cell phones, and you'd get out their number and put it on their business card and hand it to you. They don't have to say, I am a VP of so-and-so, but then you get the card and you go, fuck. And now you can look at Instagram and go, okay, he's a doctor.
All right, I understand
so
that
now you do now you have to have the social presence that shows that you've got like your thing. You don't have to, but I'm just saying you use what you have to your advantage.
Right. You don't. I think that's my point. Is like you don't have to have it, but it doesn't hurt. That's my whole thing. It's like if you have a big bank account or you have a Porsche, you have a big house. If you don't lean on it, if that's not your identity, it doesn't hurt.
Well, I think it's the same as having like a cool group of guy friends. Like a girl who sees a guy at a bar who's like having a good time with a bunch of friends that look normal and look cool.
Sure.
Like that's an attractive thing. You're like, oh, this person's not a weirdo.
So
they have people that like them.
If a guy is with his buddy, being super confident, talking loud on a bus, you wouldn't be attracted to that. See, that's exactly what you were attracted to. You were attracted to what you didn't like, but you're with him right now, is my point.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Tasha,
this is not your group of friends. You were just shouting into the wind around a bunch of strangers.
Tasha doesn't know what works. You know what I mean? Because as a woman, she gets to decide which guys like stick, but like we've been rejected.
Hello, rewind. That's my value here, is that I can give you insight into the mind of all girls. So I do know what works because I'm going to tell you what is rejection factor and what is acceptance factor.
Let me ask you this. This is a little trick that I used to use when I was single. And I think my biggest attribute is silliness in an environment that doesn't breed silliness, right? So a club or a bar and that type of thing. So what I would do is I would be like, oh, that girl's really cute, whatever. So I would sit at the bar and like just look at her until she gave me eye contact, and then I would do something super silly at her. Like she would,
the little like straw walrus or like
no, that's it's so funny. I don't know why I'm like immediately like, no, it's hack. I would never do that. But like,
so defensive.
I'm authentic with my goofiness. But that was my initial reaction. I was like, I'm not hack, bro. But no, I would just do something stupid. Like I would just like stick my tongue out like a little kid. She would look at me and be like that or something. So like I think that is a thing, and I'm asking you because it's definitely. I mean, it's definitely worked for me in the past because I feel like a lot of dudes always need to. They feel like they need a thing. They feel like they need to be like, oh yeah, look at your face. It's like an ocean on top of a snow cone. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? But like, I feel like silliness or like just weird shit that you're like, oh, I've never seen someone do that before.
Well,
helps.
not taking it too seriously.
Right.
That's the key.
And that's the risk you go into.
Not taking yourself too seriously.
Right.
You go into the risk of being like, of looking like an idiot. And that's like, you know what I mean? So like there was one time, I remember the bar, Professor Tom's, New York City. You guys remember Professor Tom's?
I don't.
It was a Patriots bar. So it's all New Englanders. I know. Real assholes. All assholes.
Yeah, 100%.
Just bootcut jeans and bangs, men, and I remember it was nighttime, so it wasn't like a Sox game or anything. It was just like people were hanging out. And some girl walks by to leave. And I mean, this is my single days, Tasha. Okay. So you never know what move you're going to use until like someone's walking by and you're like, I need to talk to that person. And like, I didn't like touch her or stop her. I was like, oh man, you're leaving. Oh geez, this is going to be the biggest mistake of your life. But like, I did it in like an overly, like obviously it wasn't,
right.
a big deal. And she did not stay, but she was like, oh, that's, that's so sweet. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And then she left. And who knows? Maybe she was like, oh, maybe I should have stayed. Or maybe she's got a boyfriend. But like, I at least was like, real quick.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. But this is what we're talking about. And it's an important point is like digital icebreaker versus in-person icebreaker. And I think you're right that like the younger generation, sure, maybe there's like a small adrenaline rush or like a little bit of anxiety before you send the first DM. I don't know, but it definitely doesn't compare to the in-person icebreaker, and that requires practice. I mean, literally, like think about the nerves like before you go on stage, right? It gets better. I mean, maybe you still get nervous every time. I still get nervous before every audition, and so like it's like calming that sort of. I mean, what would that be? Is that your limbic system? I don't know, but you get an adrenaline rush. You might get flushed. You might get hot. The more you practice that, the better you get at it.
Right.
And like that's how you are able to not take it so seriously. That's how you're able to make it fun and casual is when like the stakes aren't so high because you've had some practice at this and you've seen yourself like fail and succeed and you realize that it doesn't really matter.
Right.
There's going to be at least 3 guys that try something goofy at a bar and expect a blowjob in the bathroom. Now they're going to write in like,
it's worked 100% of the time.
That's a guarantee you have here. Last question before we get out of here, because we're already pushing on an hour. Time flies. My question was, with trust in your relationship, you travel, everyone travels, right?
Yeah.
We're all nomads with what we do. How do you maintain trust when, and is it a challenge with your girlfriend knowing that you're out there, a good-looking guy doing stand-up, making people laugh?
No, we don't really have an issue with trust. I think it's just anytime there's even a slight inclination of no trust, and I'm talking about like minimal shit. Like this is the dumbest example, but I'll run you through it. She called me one time, and I literally did not get the phone call. Did not get it. So whatever time later, she FaceTimed me and we were talking, and she goes, oh, how come you didn't call me back? I was like, oh, I didn't get your call. She goes, you didn't get my call? I was like, no, I didn't get my call. She goes, oh, okay. And then we talked for like another minute. She goes, but hold on, you didn't get my call? And I go, no. And she started acting all weird. I'm like, do you think I'm lying to you? I go, I was literally playing tennis with Rob. Playing tennis. Like, what's happening here? She's like, no, I just like, it's kind of weird. Like, I mean, I would kind of act like that if I was lying. I'm like, you literally think that I'm lying to you right now. Like, that's bananas. And I was like, and then we got to the point where I said this, and this is why I told this whole story. It's like, let's use like the history of our relationship as like a barometer of if I'm lying to you or not. Have I ever lied to you before? And she's like, no. I go, so why would I start now off like a thing that means nothing? Like, what would even be the motive here?
Yeah.
And I think that's like where I was trying to get to. It's like, for me in trust, I go, I trust someone 100% until they give me a reason not to. And then once you give me that reason, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah,
or maybe it's just time to recalibrate.
Meaning what?
You know? Just like get back to okay, well, let's see. Does this make sense? Why this person would be lying to me? Have they lied to me in the past?
Right.
You know, like recalibrate.
Right.
Dude, we've been having an issue with FaceTiming not showing up on Tasha's phone, and it's pissing me the fuck off. The other night, I FaceTimed her, and then an hour later, I was like, well, I guess, I said, well, I guess I want to hear from you. She goes, you haven't called me. I go, I FaceTimed you. No, you didn't. So then I had to screen grab it. You didn't ask me for this. It'd be weird if it would always be weird if you would like prove it. You know what I mean? But like from on my end, feeling guilt for something I didn't. So it's like when you leave H&M and you think you feel like you stole something but you didn't.
Yeah.
You ever like not buy something? And you're like, they're gonna think I'm stealing stuff.
Of course, every single time.
Yeah.
Every time a cop is next to me, I go, "Oh shit, I got drugs in the car."
Yeah.
I don't sell drugs. I don't have, but I got drugs. I have all the drugs in my car right now.
Just cocaine on your nose.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Yeah.
So I always think I'm guilty of stealing something. But in that, I was like, I screen grabbed it and be like, look, I FaceTimed you. I don't run an app where it fakes that I FaceTimed you. It shows you the minute I called you. So it's like, relationships don't need those little things. We just need to like address it, move on. Yeah, with your girlfriend, it's almost like I'd rather Tasha call it out than like feel weird, and I'd rather her think like, oh, something's weird, and then solve it right there than her being like having the back of her head that I'm lying to her.
Yeah.
We had J. Chris Newberg on earlier today, and I don't know if that podcast will come out before or after yours, so I might be spoiling it, but he was a private investigator, and people would like
what?
Yeah. Back in like the 90s or some shit before 9/11.
I love J. Chris, by the way.
Yeah, and so he would I won't give away his whole podcast. I'll just retell it to you. But he would there are people that would have these hunches that they were being cheated on, and he would be paid good money to go follow that shit around. Yeah. And it's like, relationships just don't need that. We don't need in today's world to have a hunch that trust is the most important thing. And social media brings out the ugly relationships, I think, quicker, because it's like shit. You can't get away with anything. You're gonna find where someone is. We're geo-tracked everywhere. Just be honest,
Yeah, there's no is what you said. It's like trust is like the most important. And once it's broken, for me specific, I'll just talk to myself. It's over, dude. Like it's over. Unless the lie is like so small and then we need to really talk about why you felt like you had to, then maybe we can get somewhere. But like it's gonna be really hard because it's like you've already now we have a history now. We have a history of no trust, even if it's as small as possible. Because I've had a history of like relationships where like people cheat, like just like really breaking like the trust laws. And so, like, now I made a pact with myself whatever years ago. I'm like, it's going to really impact me. Because I don't want to have to be like, I'm going to CVS. She leaves, and I go, did she go to CVS? I want to know that you went to CVS. Because the moment that I go, did you go to CVS? It's over, dude.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you've got to trust your instincts. That's what Chris said. It's like if you're at the point where you need to hire a private investigator, buddy, it's already broken.
Dude, he was
a year ago.
He was trailing a guy on a flight. He like followed this chick on a flight, 4 seats behind.
Don't give away his whole episode.
That's just a second of it, but it's like crazy to think that, and the guy was right. You know what I mean? So it's like clearly, the red flags were already up, but it's like, yeah, just fucking. Just when you get to know someone and you bond and live together like we do, it's like you'd hope that you could like read somebody. That's like when But by the way, these people that have time to cheat and lie, like I don't have enough bandwidth to like fabricate a lie. Are you kidding me?
Too tired.
Oh my god!
There are people that have 2 lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like 2 wives
and
2
children,
homes, 2 pairs of children. What?
My buddy found out that his dad. Oh, we'll end on this because we got to go. My buddy found out that his dad had a family in Russia, but his dad worked a job that sent him to Russia. He probably knocked her up years ago, and a whole thing happened. A whole thing happened, and it just, it was like it was easier for him to like
keep going with the lie,
to keep going with it rather than to like just admit it. And it all blew up like 20 years later. His mom found some receipts in his dad's sock drawer. Speaking of stiff socks, that was a stiff bill.
Hey,
fucking $100,000. And anyway, we got to get out of here. So that was a weird transition. I wrote down your Instagram so people can find Michael. It's at Blau Comedy.
Blau.
Oh my god.
It's okay, man. You messing my name up the entire time. Keep this trend going.
Blaustein, right?
Yeah, Blaustein, but the Instagram is Blau Comedy. BLAU Comedy.
Any dates or anything you want to plug? Anything going on?
Honestly, all my dates that are. When is this coming out?
That's a good question.
Two or 3 weeks.
We're gonna be in. Did we say where we're going?
No.
We're gonna be very, very far away when this podcast comes out, and we may or may not have been robbed by that point.
No, we're not gonna. Why would you put that in the universe, you weirdo?
I'm sorry. I just
And we have house sitters.
So don't try to rob us. But this podcast will be coming out in mid-September. Right?
Okay.
Jeez,
you just put out weird vibes, dude.
Why?
Well, guys, listen. If this is gonna be out mid-October, mid-September,
it'll be out in the next 2 weeks.
Okay,
2 or
well,
3 weeks.
the only day I have September dates, but no one can go because there's a lot of private stuff. But October, I will be 18th and 19th. I'll be at the DC Improv. And then October 25th and 26th, I will be at Madhouse Comedy Club. So come out to those.
Very nice. We have
San
San Diego
Diego
listeners for sure.
Ooh,
Yeah,
guys,
absolutely.
25th and 26th.
And then your podcast, Stiff Socks.
Stiff Socks podcast every Wednesday.
You guys just started that a few months ago,
Trevor
right?
Wallace. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get Trevor on the pod. I love Trevor. We met
buddy.
him when he was in college, and we were in San Jose for something. Remember, there's this spry young man. We met him 6 years ago. Fucking young, man. These young kids, I swear, it makes me feel old. I'm 34 now. I just see like a 25. I'm like, fuck, man. Is he even
You got
25?
your whole life ahead of you.
Jesus Christ. Well, thank you so much for doing the
Of
podcast.
course, man.
We
Thank you for
appreciate
having me on.
it.
This was super fun, guys.
This was The Sap. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.